Hi there, it's Claude Larson here, and I just wanted to make a quick video about the power of value. So when I talk about value in paintings, it basically means how much light color is there, how much dark color is there, and how much mid-tone or, not too dark, not too light. So if you have a painting and it's balanced, it will have an equal amount of mid-tone, light, and dark. And the problem with this is that it doesn't generally, there's always rules to be broken, but generally it doesn't make a good balance visually because everything's in the same ratio, and therefore nothing is predominant. So it takes the power away from the painting. But when you play around with it, right, you can suddenly say, okay, this painting is mostly dark, right? And these are, by the way, these are just 3 sheets of colored paper. This painting is mostly dark. This suddenly is more interesting because it's next to something dark, but it's not in equal measure. And then this is also not the same. It's not in equal measure. And it already has more visual appeal than if they were all balanced. You can do this even further, right? And have a very small line, and it really brings the eye into focus. You can make a diagonal. Suddenly that's a more powerful line, right? And it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be, the dark thing takes up most of the space. It could be the mid-tone takes up most of the space. And then when I rearrange it, now the black line has power. Why? You're focused in on it, right? I can give it more interest. I can put it on a diagonal. I can do a lot of things as long as I remember that there should not be an equal ratio of white, black, and gray, or light, medium, and dark. And that's the power of value. And when you look at a painting, colors can be deceiving. There are actually some yellows that you think, oh, it's yellow, it has to be in the light range. Some of them can be midtones. Some of them can be between midtones and darks. And a really good way to do this is to turn some pictures into monochromatic, like go into your settings, take a picture with a smartphone, go into your settings and turn it to monochromatic, or I'm trying to think of what else it might be called in there. But anyway, you'll know how to get there. You can desaturate it to the point where you're only seeing shades of gray, right? And again, how you arrange this, and this can be a mostly white painting. And looks like that. But notice most, next, least. And again, how you arrange it, it matters. Is it dynamic, energetic? You could go have a crazy zigzag too. I'm just doing this with 3 simple pieces of paper. But coming up, I've taken 2 paintings and I'm going to show them to you in color. And then I'm going to show them to you in monochromatic, and you'll see that there is a predominance. They are either mostly light, mostly dark, or mostly mid-tone. The color will deceive you, but the value is what gives any piece of artwork its balance. So here we see lots of different colors. It's very visually distracting if you are trying to determine the value of things. Remember that the value of things is how light something is, how dark something is, and how many things fall in the middle. So looking at this, you would think that obviously on the right bottom, that dark green and the black overdyed fabric, that is a dark value. Then you would see sort of in the top center, there's a light blue turquoise, right? That's a light value. But the red, you might think, well, that's a midtone. The green above it, maybe that's a midtone. The bottom left corner has some bright orange. Is that a dark? Because the rectangle above it, that's a darker blue, that reads as a dark next to the orange. But when you transfer it to grayscale, it's a lot easier to see that the dark blue at the top, the dark blue towards the bottom left, and the dark green over on the right are dark values. All of a sudden, that upper corner that was green that you thought was a midtone is really reading as a very light color. The orange is reading as a midtone, even though it's bright in intensity. The big red square that was in the center and the red buttons, that starts to read as a dark, only because now we can see where the values are. So this art quilt is predominantly midtones. It has hints of dark, which move the eye around. And it also has a few lights in there that are not in competition with the darks, and they're not in competition with the midtones. You'll notice that a very light color is generally placed next to a darker value. It increases the contrast and it makes it more visually appealing. Now here is another one of my paintings, and this has a variety of color. The color can be very distracting, but if you turn it to black and white, you start to see the value. Now that it's in grayscale, you can see that I purposefully put, this is called agate, and it's really about a collection of stones that I collected in the petrified desert, or a petrified forest. And you'll see that even though some of those blues and other colors that were in the painting, suddenly the lights begin to appear. You'll notice I put shadow under the stones in what was predominantly a light area so that there would be some definition of the shape. There's a dark stone on the bottom left, and there's a little black mark towards the top right. There's also a tiny little speck of black on the bottom left. So there's very small parts that are dark, a lot of midtone, and none of the black actually touches the dark gray at the top because I'm trying to keep the contrast interesting. The fact that there is color should not distract from the fact that I put certain values in certain places to keep the eye moving. I hope that was helpful. Thanks for being here and have a creative day. Bye.